Hi, I'm Micah from MovieMaker magazine. Today I got a chance to talk to Roland Emmerich about how he makes his films. From Independence Day to The Patriot to The Day After Tomorrow and his brand new movie, Moonfall, starring Halle Berry and Patrick Wilson as astronauts who have to save the Earth from its greatest threat, the moon. Here we go. When does a story start for you? Is it an image? Is it a line of dialogue?
Well, it's every movie a little bit different. I mean, I have to say, for example, with the Patriot, it was just like how two lines of people walk like this and shooting with cannonballs at it. That they even like didn't run away, and they like kind of sometimes like smash their legs, take their head off, and they just like kind of did it. And that shows you like kind of a lot about what the Patriot was about, because it's about uh, to be individual against like mass war kind of thing. Other shot was like, for example, 2012. My first image was like water has to come over the Himalaya. If it doesn't come over the Himalaya, then something is wrong, right? So all these kind of things, have most of the time one first idea. And in this one, in Moonfall, it was like actually that the moon is not what we think it is.
When you get that image, right, that one image of like the water going, over the Himalayas, or the moon isn't exactly what it seems. What's next for you? Do you go to a storyboard artist and you go, "Hey, I want to draw this sequence out," or do you start writing immediately?
No. I start immediately writing. And
Mm.
most of the time, we're like kind of working from in a very short form.
Mm.
It's like 2-3 pages. That's it. It cannot be longer than 2-3 pages, because if it's like longer than 2-3 pages, it becomes too complex and too complicated. And then
And by
the
and by
next
three
thing,
pages, do you mean the action scene or the like a
no,
treatment?
no, everything what happens in the film. I mean, more or
Yeah.
less, try to sum it up in 2-3 pages.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then the next step is like a treatment, which
Mm.
is like, let's say, 30 to 35 pages. And when I do that, it's most of the time, you know, uh, already scene by scene by scene. I hate to do stuff which is like kind of general. It has to be scene, 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 scene. It has to be really like that, and then it becomes more and more complex. But and then we start writing the script.
What is it about these action movies that attracts you as a director? Is there something you're trying to find as a director that gives you great pleasure in directing like these big action movies? Because I'm a big action movie fan. It's what I want to do with my career. So I'm always looking for like how to make the best action movie possible. What are some of the ways that you've approached different action movies in the past, and what have you learned from each one?
Well, I mean, I have to say, this was a movie where we have a lot of incredible things happening on Earth, because the moon, for obvious reason, when it comes closer and closer, whatever this thing does to it, it ramps up the gravity, and because of that, like you have crazy car chases and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And what I mainly kind of think is something what I always like kind of tend to do is I have a lot of planes in my films for some
Mhm.
odd reason. Maybe that's because my uncle was like a fighter pilot.
Mhm.
But that's like kind of one thing I like very much. Aerial battles are a given for me. But even like when you do like some when I do some movie like a Independence Day or Independence Day Resurgence, or like or the Midway. There's all like kind of flying stuff. It's like and flying stuff is actually really great, because you don't even ever have to do much action. You know what I mean? The action is happening later.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's not much. It actually, when you look at all my movies, there's not much action in it. There's like big action sequences, but there's not much action. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
somebody driving you know, like a bus, or you know, and I mean, there's always like a object people are in, and they encounter the impossible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And what that also means for me, it's because I actually don't like much to shoot action, because then I can get the action out of the way really fast, and I'm like here with the character scenes, and then a lot, you know, that I then do is most of these shots are full CG.
So you get your action scenes out of the way then, right? So what is it about working with the actors that you like to, is there, you say you keep your characters as simple as possible.
I love working with actors, you know, because they have most of the time very simple problems. They have sometimes just because she's a woman, she has a little bit a tougher time to get, accepted. That's, for example, Halle's problem, you know, and then nobody believes Patrick Wilson that he saw a swarm, and then with nobody believes that Dr. Casey Houseman thinks that the moon is a megastructure. That's our three main problems, and right there, that's as simple as it goes. And they have a lot of inner life. They have a lot of to contribute, but that's at the heart. That's their problem.
How do you find the inner life? Is it just from casting the right actor?
No, because you like what you do is you ask yourself, so what is the character's problem? What is the character's problem? And then you say, oh, who could play him? You know what I mean? It's not that you like say, oh, there's like no, that's like most of the time it's only 2 or 3 actors who could play it. You know, and that's it. That's all what you have. And so in a way, it's sometimes really tough, because you try to cast exactly the perfect people, which happens to be a real boon in a Moonfall. It was not always like that. You know what I mean? For me, it was always a little bit more troubled in a way. But like in Moonfall, I have to say, we got exactly the right cast. There was like even down to the smallest person.
When you get your cast together, like what is your first day on set, right? The first day of shooting, what's going through your head? Like, you've got the script down, like what is the first thing you do when you get to a movie set?
Most of the time it's the 1 or 2 weeks before the shoots are even more important than what you do on the first day, because you pretty much like fire as many notes at your crew as possible, because whatever you do, you have to be really aware that like the last 4 weeks, let's say the last 4 weeks is like murder. I mean, honest to God, it's murder, because you get asked, like, you go from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting for sometimes 12, 14 hours. And you have to always be boom, 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 right? And then actually when you like do the first day, you kind of really can relax, because you have done more or less the work, and then only on the weekends you have then to work a little bit. But then you like have done more or less everything which needed to be done. And then actually it's good to then have actors. You just have some actors and you work with them, and you like direct them, and that's actually really fun for me. That's really I enjoy this very much.
How do you find is the best way to create a sense of geography in your action movies? Because I've noticed that they're extremely clear in what's happening and where the characters are. And that's a huge challenge for any filmmaker. When I made my first action movie, it was just like so difficult to figure out like where all the moving parts should be so it's the clearest for the audience. So where do you start with something like that?
Most of the time what I do is like first shoot a master.
Mm,
Because when you don't have a master, how do you ever come to a good scene? So I spent quite some time on masters.
mm,
Even it's like sometimes 1 or 2, 3 hours, doesn't matter. And then you can place them.
mm.
And that's most of the time how I do it. Because when you don't see them all together, how do you, how should they, how should this all work? And when you
Yeah.
have like kind of just two people standing next to each other, that's quite easy. But when it's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people, then it's becomes very, very complicated. And
Mm,
then what you want to do is like kind of, you want to kind of try to shoot everything with, sometimes I use Steadicam and I shoot the whole scene. Even there's some unusable parts, I don't care.
mm.
Just like kind of go through the thing to the other side, and then so there is a flow to it. There's a total flow to it, and then you move and shoot your close-ups.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about your movies now in my head. Like all the scenes are running through my head right now, like from most of your movies, and I'm like, oh, they really aren't action scenes. They're just people surviving.
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
They're just like people just
And it's
trying to
also
get out of. Yeah.
for me it's about survival, and that's all what interests me. Having like, I mean, in my very very first movie, a Universal Soldier, I had to do a lot of action scenes, but I didn't enjoy that very much.
Yeah. Yeah, and then for your next movie, it was what was your next movie? Was it
Stargate.
Stargate? So
Okay.
for Stargate, like what was something you learned from Universal Soldier that you took to Stargate?
Well, I could first time do my own movie.
Yeah.
Well, the one was like another work for hire, right?
Yeah.
And now I could do my own movie. That was my
Yeah.
first own movie in Hollywood, and I knew exactly what I was doing. I had it all somewhat down, and there I actually learned a little bit that it was very very important to keep simple.
Mm,
We made like kind of this raw character too complicated.
mm.
And then only when we like kind of then did a little reshoot where we like kind of then, you know, had you know, like an alien inside Ra, it started to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like just this very simple little thing, you know, and
Yeah.
it worked really well, and the movie became a sleeper hit.
Is there anything else that you feel as a filmmaker that you really love to play in? Like, what's another like other than aerial dogfights? Like, what's another thing that you really love to add to movies?
I think I would like to do a big TV show next.
Yeah.
Just like you know, we're like kind of working on different stories, but one is like called "Those About to Die," and I think I will do this one next.
Yeah.
And it's about the sports business in ancient Rome.
In where?
In ancient Rome,
Oh, okay. So it's a period piece. Ooh, I'm excited. No airplanes, so there's something to fall behind there.
no airplanes, but like kind of chariots.
Okay,
Whew.
fair enough. So, are you going to be watching a lot of Ben Hur, like Ben Hur over again, and like,
I'm a huge fan of all these movies. I mean,
yeah,
give me any you know, Sandal movie ever made, and I watch it like
same
hypnotized.
here. Is there anything from Moonfall that you think you're going to take over to your next project? Is there anything you learned, or is there any advice that you have for filmmakers out there right now?
I don't think there's. I would say I would keep it more simple.
Hmm.
I would keep it more simple. I would like maybe only have one son because I have like two sons. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He has a son, he has a son. It's a little
right.
bit confusing, right? And that is like kind of something I would probably not do again. But that's pretty much it.